we're going to explore a story that unfolds deep beneath the surface. A quiet story, really, about the very foundation of a modern nation.
You know, in India's case, this invisible foundation, it isn't what you might think. It's not a product of our digital age or even the gleaming symbols of progress we see all around us.
So no, it's not the software code powering its tech hubs, not the glass towers that scrape the sky, or, surprisingly, not even the steel that forms their skeletons. It's what has to come before all of that. It's this raw, powerful element hidden deep underground, black, dirty, and dangerous to get to. We're talking about coking coal. Without it, the blast furnaces fall silent. The bridges don't rise. Modern India? Well, it simply doesn't happen. And right at the heart of this hidden world, in the dust and the fire of eastern India, stands one company. This is the story of Bharat Coking Coal Limited. To really understand this company, we have to go back to a time before it even existed, to a chaotic, almost lawless era in India's coal fields. Before the 1970s, you had more than 500 private mine owners just clawing at the earth. Each one was in a frantic race against the other, and they were all driven by one thing: short-term profit. You have to picture it. There were no real safety laws to speak of, no coordination between the mines, absolutely no vision for the future. The only things that mattered were speed and extraction, and it came at any cost. This period actually earned a brutal name: slaughter mining, a practice that valued the coal over the land and speed over the lives of the miners. They'd just tear out the easiest coal and then abandon the mines, leaving behind this legacy of collapse and, well, fire. Tunnels collapsed, fires ignited in the abandoned seams deep underground. And what's just staggering is that some of those fires, they still burn today. India's future was being built on truly unstable ground. Well, the government saw the immense risk. A resource this critical to the nation's survival just couldn't remain uncontrolled. A decisive change was coming. And the change happened swiftly. In 1971, the Nationalization Act was passed, and just like that, 214 mines were taken over. By January of '72, Bharat Coking Coal Limited was formed to manage the chaos. The takeover kept expanding, and by 1975, the new structure was set: BCCL under its parent company, Coal India Limited. The Wild West was over. The human scale of this transition was just immense. I mean, in a single stroke, more than 800,000 private mine workers became government employees. This was more than a corporate takeover. It was a vast social reorganization. It turned miners into public servants, and it promised a new kind of stability. But taking control, that didn't erase the past. BCCL inherited not just mines, but a nightmare that had been burning for decades in the Jharia coal fields. In Jharia, which is India's most vital coking coal field, fires have smoldered underground since 1916. Entire towns were sitting on top of this inferno. Homes cracked, the land sank, smoke rose from the earth itself. The question was, what could possibly be done? The answer was one of India's largest environmental rescue missions, the Jharia Master Plan. This was a monumental effort, not just to put out the fires, but to safely relocate thousands of families whose entire lives were built right above them. This was about more than mining. This was about accountability on a national scale. And the results? Well, they've been dramatic. Slowly, methodically, the burning surface area has shrunk from a sprawling 17 square kilometers down to just 1.8. A real, tangible victory against a problem that's a century old. So, from a crisis manager, BCCL has really transformed into a modern powerhouse, fueling India's future from its headquarters in Dhanbad, the coal capital of India. See, Indian coal has a bit of a flaw. It's high in ash and impurities. That means you can't just use it directly. That's why BCCL built something just as important as the mines themselves: washeries. These are these vast industrial plants that literally clean the raw coal, turning it into the high-grade fuel that's ready for the nation's steel plant. And beneath all this infrastructure, well, that's where the real prize is. BCCL is the custodian of an estimated 7.91 billion tons of coking coal reserves. To put that into perspective, that's enough to feed India's steel ambitions for over a century. And as you can see here, those ambitions are huge. With a target of 300 million tons of steel a year, BCCL becomes a core strategic asset.
Every ton of coal produced right here is a ton India doesn't have to go out and buy on volatile global markets. It's like economic armor for the nation's industrial goals.
And that brings us to the next chapter. For the first time in its 50-year history, the company is entering a new phase, a transition into the public market. In January 2026, BCCL is set for its initial public offering. It's what's known as a pure offer for sale, which just means its parent, Coal India, is selling a portion of its stake. This invites the public to share in the ownership of a national asset, really broadening its foundation of stakeholders.
But this IPO isn't about some kind of radical change. BCCL isn't a flashy startup. It doesn't promise disruption. It promises something far more fundamental: continuity. That steady, reliable power that keeps the furnaces burning.
Because as long as India is building, as long as steel matters, the story of Bharat Coking Coal Limited will continue, unfolding silently and essentially, right beneath our feet. This has been the story of the coal that became steel.